What is up, you guys? I am gonna go over how to meal prep 3 different meals with you guys today. And I'm even gonna throw in an extra dessert. So every week I own a meal prep company, and every Monday I make a whole bunch of different meals. I have customers that pre-order specific meals, and I also have a storefront where people can come in and get grab and go meals. In addition to that, I wanna start doing meal prep classes for you guys. So I'm gonna provide a grocery list that will have grocery list items of everything that you need to get to make these 3 meals. I also will have a logistics printout for you that will tell you, like, okay, dice 2 onions and, you know, all of the logistics of what you need to do. And then I'm gonna have a video that is me talking, explaining how to do each meal. I'm going to show you the meals that we're going to be making, or that you're going to be making, that I've already made. And number 1, chicken fajita. All of these meals can be customized. If you want steak fajita, you can swap out any of the proteins. If you want shrimp fajita instead of chicken, you can make any of the proteins are easily substituted. Same thing with if you don't want rice, if you want sweet potatoes instead, or if you want a different carb, you can do that. You can sub anything, the proteins, the veggies, the carbs, even the sauces and toppings. A lot of people don't like cilantro. If you don't want cilantro, skip it, put something else on. If you want dairy free, you don't got to put the cheese on. These are all easily customizable. This is just a baseline for you to go off of if you want some ideas, because I've realized that a lot of people they need a baseline. They don't know, they want to eat healthy, but they don't know what to eat. They don't know how to eat it. They don't know what to do. So this is going to be kind of your baseline. You can customize as needed and change things up as you prefer. So chicken fajita. Then we are going to do a cheeseburger bowl. And last but not least, chicken egg roll bowl. All right, so let's get into it here. First things first, you're gonna wanna start, I usually start with cooking my carbs, because the carbs usually take the longest. The rice, the potatoes, whatever carb source you are going to do, you wanna start with that. So for these, the only carb source we have is brown rice. And for my brown rice, I typically, so for these, I made, if you want to make 5 of each, that would be 10 servings that have rice. A 1 to 1.5 ratio. So if I'm doing 1 cup of rice, I'm going to do 1.5 cups of water. And you're going to cook it either in a rice cooker, or you can do it in a stovetop. One tip for you, if you don't want to do those ratios, your fingertip should be this much, about this much over the rice. If you're doing it in a pan or a rice cooker, it never fails. I don't know how it works every time without even measuring, but it always does. So you could do that. You could even make these low carb if you want, and do cauliflower rice and just saute that in a pan, whatever you prefer. So for the rice, if you want about 10 servings, I would say make like 3 or 4 cups dry, and that should give you about 10 servings of rice. Next, what you're gonna do, we are gonna prepare the proteins. So for these particular meals, we have chicken, and you're gonna cook your chicken exactly the same way, and then just season it differently. So bake it, get it all baked up, season it however you want. You can season them differently. I season them exactly the same, even though they're different flavored meals. Because then it's easier to customize. You can make a whole bunch of chicken, season it exactly the same, and then add sauces and toppings and make it kind of more customizable. So with the chicken, you always want to make sure you're cooking it to 165 degrees. Whether you're baking it, grilling it, hopefully you're not frying it, because if you're frying it, it's just not healthy. But whether you're grilling it, baking it, Instant Pot, crock pot, you could even buy a rotisserie chicken, you guys, if you want to make this really simple and you don't want to do any cooking. there are extra oils and, you know, ingredients and stuff, preservatives in rotisserie chicken, so I don't recommend it. But if you're in a bind and you just really need something, it's better than nothing. It's better than not having meal prep. So cook the chicken, and then while the chicken, once you get it seasoned up, I usually will marinate it with I'll usually bake it with some olive oil and seasonings. I do an everyday seasoning blend on all of my chicken when I bake it, and I usually just bake it, and then once it's done baking, I let it rest for about 10-15 minutes, and then I slice it. And then from there, I'll weigh it out into each individual meal prep container. I do 4 ounces of cooked chicken per meal prep container, but if your goals are something where you need more protein than that, feel free to add whatever you need for your personal goals. 4 ounces is just what I personally do, and it's equivalent to like a serving of chicken. And then if you're gonna bake it, I would say bake it at 400 degrees for like 20 to 30 minutes until it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees. So that is the quickest way to do it. Otherwise, the crock pot, if you're gonna go to work and you just want to throw it in the crock pot, throw it in the crock pot with some chicken stock, some sort of liquid, and your seasonings, and when you come home, it is already cooked, and you can shred it up or you can slice it up. It's going to be a little bit harder to slice if you put it in the crock pot or the Instant Pot, just because it gets really soft. So I would prefer shredding it up if you're going to do it that way. Next, we are going to cook or brown your ground beef. We're going to just take a pan on the stove top, put your ground beef in there. You can do ground turkey. You can do, I did extra lean 93% ground beef, and put some seasonings in there and until it's brown. So once you've got the carbs going, the rice should be cooking. Once you've got that going, then you've got your chicken seasoned and in the oven baking, or however you're gonna cook it. And then you've got your stovetop going with your ground beef on there. Once that's done or cooking, next you can move on to the veggies. So for the veggies, you are gonna start out by dicing 1 red onion, and then you're gonna julienne cut another red onion. So you're gonna use 1 onion for your fajitas, and then you're gonna use 1 of the onions for your burger bowls. So these are the diced onions, these are the julienne cuts, so just slices. So do that, and then next you are going to slice up your peppers. I would say about 2 to 3 bell peppers. 2 if they're really large, 3 if they're smaller. You're gonna julienne cut those up for fajitas, mix it with your sliced onions, and then you're gonna add some olive oil and some fajita seasonings and toss that all together. Put it on a pan and bake it for like 10 to 15 minutes. If your chicken's already in the oven at 400, you can just add this right in the oven for the last 15 minutes, and then you're multitasking, which is what meal prep is all about, multitasking. So go ahead and throw that in there. And then next you're gonna go ahead and take either your coleslaw mix for your egg roll in a bowl. If you wanna go really easy, get a coleslaw mix. Get a big family size bag of coleslaw. Don't use the dressing, just the mix, just the cabbage mix. Or you can shred up your own cabbage and carrots. If you wanna save money, it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. You'd only need probably about a 1/2 to 1/4 head of cabbage. You can do 1/4 of each purple and regular cabbage, and then some carrots. Shred those up. You're gonna want about 5 cups, because each container, if you're making 5 of these, each container should have about 1 cup of the cabbage mixture. And then from there, we're gonna take our green onions, slice those up. Those are gonna go on the toppings here. And chop your broccoli. So I do not cook the broccoli when I'm doing meal prep, because for 1, it stays fresher longer when it's not cooked. For 2, when you reheat this, you're gonna have the lid on and vented, and it is gonna steam inside the container. If you have cooked broccoli in here, it's gonna turn to mush and it's just gonna be nasty. So I always put raw broccoli. For 1, it's easier. You don't have to cook it. Just chop it into bite-sized pieces, throw it in your meal prep container, and voila. It'll steam and it'll be perfect with a little bit of crisp to it. That is one thing that I always do with broccoli, because I used to bake it and then it would just be like mushy. When you're reheating it, it's just not good, and it doesn't last as long. Meal prep, you want it to last, you want it to be fresh, you want it to be crisp. And then from there, we are gonna chop up some cilantro for our toppings, and then cut up some lime garnishes if you want for your little garnish for your fajitas. And then you're gonna take your can of black beans and you're gonna strain that. That's technically a carb, but we're gonna put it in with the veggie category for this meal prep. So strain 1 can of black beans and you're gonna divide that out between, 1 can will get you 5 servings. You can make your own black beans too if you don't wanna use canned. I usually get the low sodium black beans just to make it easier. Pickles, and get those ready. I also added spinach to this. You're gonna want like 5 cups of spinach. I don't cut it or chop it or anything. I just put it right in the container for some extra greens and extra nutrients. So now the fun part, now that we have all of our veggies prepared, we've got our cabbage mix, our green onions diced up, our broccoli into bite-sized pieces, our chicken sliced and ready to eat, our cabbage mix shredded up, we've got our fajita peppers cut up, we got our red onions cut up for the fajitas, we have our diced red onions for the other onion, for our burger box, we have our pickles out, we have our spinach out, we've got cheese. I would say you're gonna need about 10 ounces of cheese. You can get any kind that you prefer. I did mozzarella for the fajita and cheddar cheese for the cheeseburger. However, if you only want to buy 1 bag of cheese, I would suggest just doing the same kind of cheese and then it'll save you some money. We've got our rice cooking. Yeah, now we're ready to plate, which is the fun part. So I will put a cup, you're gonna set out 15 meal prep containers, 5 for each of these meals, 5 for the chicken egg roll in a bowl, 5 chicken fajita, and 5 cheeseburger box. We're gonna start with our carbs in the chicken fajita and the cheeseburger box. You're gonna put about a cup, actually I do like 3/4 cup, but you can do 3/4 cup to a cup, whatever you prefer, of the cooked brown rice in 10 meal prep containers. 5 for the cheeseburger bowl, 5 for the fajita. Once you've done that, then and feel free, you guys, while I'm talking, if you want to just pause and, you know, put your rice in and then pause and then go to the next step, feel free to pause at any time or replay, whatever you need to do. Next, we are going to take our chicken and we are going to weigh out 4 ounces into each container, or how much ever you want, and put that in here. Then we're gonna put that strained can of black beans. We're gonna put that with the fajita. We're also gonna put in, you can get little sauce containers if you want, or you can just add it right into the meal prep container to save on plastic. Put in some salsa, put in your fajita peppers and onions that you've baked for 15 minutes. Then you're gonna top it with some cheese and cilantro and your little lime garnish. And just like that, you've got chicken fajita. Did I miss anything? Nope, that's all of it. Then, in your other meal prep container, your other 5 with the rice in there, you're gonna add your browned ground beef. You're gonna sprinkle in some uncooked diced onions, or you can cook them with your ground beef if you prefer. You're gonna sprinkle it with about 1 ounce of cheese on each one. Add in some greens or spinach. I actually add the greens on the bottom, then the rice, then the ground beef, then the cheese, then the onions, and then the pickles. And I actually like to put in some pickle juice, pour it in each meal prep container to give it a little extra flavor. And then you can season it with some extra salt and pepper if you want. I don't season with salt typically just because the pickles have a lot of sodium in them already. So I'll usually just add some pepper. When I'm browning my beef, I also do add in seasoning as well, but I add a little bit more on top when I'm plating it. And then last but not least, we have our chicken egg roll in a bowl. You're gonna take your cabbage mix, about a cup in each 5 of these meal prep containers. You're gonna take about a cup of the chopped broccoli in each of these 5 containers. Then you're gonna lay out 4 ounces of chicken in all 5. You're gonna sprinkle on some black sesame seeds, some sriracha, and your green onions. You know what I almost forgot? When your cabbage mix is mixed up and shredded, you are going to take that mixture before you add it in here, and you're gonna mix it with let me make sure I have my list so I'm not forgetting anything. You're gonna mix it with all of your sauces and seasonings to make it taste like the egg roll bowl. And you can saute the cabbage up if you want a little bit, but like I said, it stays fresher longer if you're not cooking it, because when you heat this in the microwave, the broccoli is gonna steam and the cabbage is also gonna steam. So there's absolutely no need to saute or to cook your cabbage or your broccoli unless you want to, but I promise you it is not necessary, and it'll save you time and it'll make things last longer if you don't do that. So liquid aminos, 1 teaspoon, not a tablespoon, and then you're gonna do about a teaspoon of garlic. You can mince your own garlic or buy the already minced. Rice vinegar, you're gonna do a tablespoon in each of them, or 5 tablespoons if you do a big batch, just mix it all together. So do 5 teaspoons of the liquid aminos in your big bowl, get your cabbage ready. Do 5 teaspoons of liquid aminos, 5 teaspoons of garlic, 5 tablespoons of rice vinegar, and then 5 tablespoons of sesame oil. Mix that all together so it kind of is like a coleslaw or an egg roll ingredients. And then once you've done that, then you can distribute 1 cup of that mixture into each meal prep container with your broccoli, top it with your chicken, top some sriracha on there if you like it spicy, that to taste, some green onions, and some sesame seeds. And that is it. I know I kind of rambled, but hopefully that made sense, and hopefully you guys, yeah, hopefully that's easy for you guys to understand. Yeah, I think that's it. If you do 5 of each of these, you will have 15 meals. You can freeze any of these. These are all great frozen. If you're not gonna eat it within 3 to 4 days, I say always eat it within 3 to 4 days or throw it in the freezer. And then to reheat, if it's not frozen, make sure you put the lid on and have it vented. This will allow it to steam. It won't dry out the chicken, it won't dry out the rice. So I always reheat with the lid on and just vent it a little bit in a corner. Reheat it like 2 minutes or so until it's hot, 2 to 3 minutes. If it's frozen, reheat it like 3 to 4 minutes to start, stir it around, and then reheat another 2 to 3 minutes until it's hot. It's gonna depend, the amount of time is gonna depend on how much food is in your meal prep container. If it is jam-packed full and there is a whole bunch of food in one container, it's gonna take a little bit longer to reheat than a meal that is a little bit lighter. Any of these are great frozen. The only meals I would not suggest freezing are salads. Do not freeze salads. Your lettuce is gonna be nasty. Any of these are just fine frozen and reheated. Throw in a dessert. I almost forgot the dessert. So this is one of my absolute favorite meal prep dessert options. I have some to show you as well because I just made it. And I've ate some. I've ate a lot of them actually because I love them. These are better than candy bars. These are dates with peanut butter, pecans, and dark chocolate chips in the middle, and they are so good. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a bag of dates, slice it open, take out the pit. Then you're gonna put about a teaspoon of peanut butter in there. And then you're gonna sprinkle with some chocolate chips and a couple pecans and close it up. Store them in the fridge, or you can store them in the freezer, but they are so good. They taste better than a candy bar. These are literally my favorite dessert. They're so quick and easy to make, and they're so good. And yeah, that is it for meal prepping with Mel. I hope you guys enjoy your meals, and make sure to tag me if you make these meals, letting me know how you like them. I can't wait to see your guys' creations. Like I said, get creative. This is just a baseline for you guys to go off of. You can add anything you want. You can substitute any proteins. If you don't want chicken, you can do anything else. If you don't want ground beef, you can do ground turkey. Literally, the options are endless. It's totally up to you, totally a preference. Enjoy your meal prep, guys.